Hey man, you was in that motherfucker standing up while you were eating. When they bump down on you, they ask you, is you under the five or is you a rapper? You said a rapper. I got facts about these, man. Hey man, I'm on your ass, man. You know what I'm talking about, man?
Pooh Shiesty is now facing a reality check that has left his whole fan base questioning everything they thought they knew about this dude. Behind all them hard bars and that killer image he'd been pushing, this man was allegedly getting treated like a straight goofy by the OGs behind them walls. The shocking truth behind what really went down in that prison is way more embarrassing than anyone imagined, and we're about to expose it all right now. What's good, fam? We about to dive deep into some real prison politics that's been shaking up the whole Memphis rap scene and got everybody talking. Now, before we get into this wild situation, let me keep it 100 with y'all. Social media have been buzzing with rumors about how Pooh Shiesty was moving behind bars, and an OG recently came forward exposing exactly what type of time this rapper was on. But yo, we about to separate the facts from the fiction, the real from the fake, and show y'all what really happened when this so-called street menace got locked up. For those who don't know, Pooh Shiesty built his whole career off being this untouchable gangster from South Memphis. This man rapped about bodies, shootouts, and running the streets with no fear. His fans looked at him like he was really about that life, like he was one of the realest in the game. But according to this OG who did time with him, that image crumbled real quick once them cell doors closed. Now, hold up before y'all start thinking this is just some hater trying to clout chase. The details this OG dropped are specific, they're detailed, and they paint a completely different picture of Pooh Shiesty than what we see in them music videos. But here's where it gets real spicy, because what allegedly happened to him in prison is something that could destroy his street credibility forever. So, check it. Let's rewind and talk about who Pooh Shiesty really is and how he got to this point. Born Lontrell Denell Williams Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee, this dude wasn't just some random kid trying to rap. Nah, fam, Pooh Shiesty was born into a family of certified gangsters. His pops was a known street figure and founder of the record label Mob Ties, so from day one, this kid was surrounded by that life. Growing up in the Cane Creek apartments in South Memphis, Pooh Shiesty was supposed to be cut from that same cloth as his father. He was supposed to be this tough guy who inherited that gangster DNA. His whole childhood was filled with stories of his pops running the streets, getting locked up, and living that dangerous lifestyle. So naturally, Pooh Shiesty tried to follow in them footsteps. By age 11, this kid was already getting expelled from middle school and catching charges. He was wearing ankle monitors before he even hit puberty. The streets knew him as a wild little dude who was always into something, always causing problems. That's actually how he got the name Shiesty, because he was known for finessing people and being sneaky with his moves. Now in the hood, we know that your reputation is everything, and Pooh Shiesty was building his off being a menace. He linked up with his childhood homie Big 30 and some other young savages from the area, and together they formed what would become one of the most notorious crews in Memphis, Chopper Gang. Let me break down for y'all what Chopper Gang really represents in Memphis. This ain't just some rap group or a bunch of kids claiming a set for clout. Nah, Chopper Gang is a hybrid crew made up of members from various big sets throughout South Memphis and Whitehaven. We talking about real street dudes who were getting money by any means necessary. The name Chopper Gang comes from their reputation for always being strapped with them big guns, choppers, AKs, Dracos, all that type of hardware. These dudes were known for hitting licks, robbing other crews, and moving reckless throughout the city. They had members like Big 30, Little Hank, and Antwop, all of them certified in the streets. But here's where it gets interesting. Chopper Gang wasn't just about street activity. They were smart enough to use their reputation to build a music movement. Big 30 got signed first to Moneybagg Yo's label, and when his music started buzzing, it opened doors for the whole crew. Pooh Shiesty was dropping songs left and right, and his raw, aggressive style caught the attention of none other than Gucci Mane. Real talk, Gucci saw that same energy in Pooh Shiesty that he had when he was younger, that authentic street menace who wasn't afraid of nothing. So Gucci signed him to 1017 Records in Atlantic, giving Pooh Shiesty a major label deal and putting Memphis on the map in a whole new way. The street's been talking about how Chopper Gang had bodies on their name, how they were involved in multiple shootings and robberies throughout Memphis. Pooh Shiesty even had beef with other Memphis rappers like Big Boogie, and his cousin Big Scar was in a brutal war with a crew called Double R. This whole movement was built on violence, street credibility, and that raw Memphis energy. When Pooh Shiesty dropped Back in Blood with Lil Durk, that song became an anthem. He was talking about real events, real robberies, real street beef with a rival gang called EBG. The song went crazy. #1 on Billboard, 50 million views in a month. Pooh Shiesty was on top of the world, and his image as this fearless gangster was solidified in the eyes of his fans. But yo, this is where the story gets deeper than just the music and the street reputation. See, all that wild behavior eventually caught up with him. The real kicker though, Pooh Shiesty's whole world came crashing down after an incident in Miami. This man allegedly robbed some dudes in a parking lot. We talking about a drug deal gone wrong where shots were fired, people got hurt, and Pooh Shiesty and his crew fled the scene in a green McLaren. Crazy part? This all happened right across the street from the police department.
Now in just one station, surveillance cameras showing a new view of a violent shootout in a parking lot of a South Florida apartment building. The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox.
When the feds caught up with him, Pooh Shiesty was hit with serious charges.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted with
Mr. Williams, you were arrested for pursuant to an arrest.
Conspiracy, robbery, and firearms charges that could put him away for decades. This wasn't no local case that he could beat with a good lawyer. Nah, fam, this was federal time and the feds don't play. Eventually, Pooh Shiesty took a plea deal and got sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. For his fans, this was devastating. They were hoping he'd beat the case or get a lighter sentence. But the reality of the situation hit hard. Their favorite rapper, the dude they looked at as this untouchable street legend, was going to be locked up during the prime of his career. Now, for those who haven't been keeping up with how prison politics work, let me explain something real quick. In the joint, especially in federal facilities, there's a whole hierarchy and set of rules that inmates have to follow. Gang members run certain yards, and if you're not affiliated or if you're seen as weak, you're gonna get tested immediately. There's this thing that happens in some prisons where certain inmates are forced to stand up while they eat in the chow hall. This is usually reserved for people who are considered the lowest on the prison hierarchy. We talking about sex offenders, snitches, and non-gang members who don't have no protection. If you're standing up while you eat, that's basically telling the whole prison that you're somebody's victim, that you're getting punked, that you ain't got no respect. Let that sink in for a minute. In the streets, if you're standing up while everybody else is sitting down and eating comfortably, that means you're being treated like you're beneath them. It's one of the most disrespectful things that can happen to you behind bars, because it's a public display of your weakness. Now this is where we got to address what the OG said about Pooh Shiesty. In a video that went viral, this older inmate who did time with Pooh Shiesty came forward with some shocking allegations. According to this OG, when Pooh Shiesty first got to the facility, he was approached by other gang members who wanted to know what he claimed. In prison culture, when somebody asks you what you claim, they're asking what gang you're affiliated with, what set you represent. This is important because your gang affiliation determines who has your back, where you can go on the yard, and how much respect you get. For somebody like Pooh Shiesty, who rapped about Choppa Gang and being this street menace, you would expect him to claim his set proudly, right? But according to the OG, when Pooh Shiesty was asked what he claimed, he allegedly said he was just a rapper and that he wasn't affiliated with no gang. Now, for y'all who might not understand the significance of this, let me explain. By saying he's not gang affiliated, Pooh Shiesty was basically telling them inmates that he's a civilian, that he's not about that life, and that he doesn't have the protection of a gang behind bars. The OG went on to claim that because Pooh Shiesty denied his gang affiliation, he was treated like a non-affiliate. And what happens to non-affiliates in prison? They get the worst treatment. According to this OG, Pooh Shiesty was forced to stand up while he ate his meals in the chow hall, just like the sex offenders and the snitches. The OG said, and I quote, "You was in that standing up while you eat. When they bumped down on you, they asked you, is you 5 or was you a rapper? You said a rapper. You let a dude basically disrespect you, man, made you stand up and eat your food." That's some real embarrassing stuff right there. Think about it. This is the same dude who rapped about robbing people, shooting at ops, and being this fearless gangster. But when he got behind them walls and was tested by real convicts, he allegedly folded and accepted being treated like he was nobody. The real tea that got everybody shook is that this completely contradicts everything Pooh Shiesty built his career on. His whole image was about being tough, being respected in the streets, and never backing down from nobody. But if what this OG is saying is true, then Pooh Shiesty was moving like a scared civilian behind bars. Now let's talk about why this is such a bad look for Pooh Shiesty. In hip-hop culture, authenticity is everything. Fans don't just want good music, they want to believe that the person rapping is really living what they're talking about. out. When rappers get exposed for being fake or for not being as tough as they claim, it destroys their credibility. For people who know the culture, standing up while you eat in prison is one of the most humiliating things that can happen to you. It's a public declaration that you're weak, that you're not respected, and that you're somebody's victim. The fact that Pooh Shiesty allegedly went through this and didn't fight back or stand up for himself is shocking to his fans. But here's where it gets real complicated, because we got to look at this situation from multiple angles. On one hand, you got fans who feel betrayed because the image they had of Pooh Shiesty has been shattered. They thought he was this real street dude who would hold his own anywhere, but these allegations suggest otherwise. On the other hand, some people are saying that Pooh Shiesty made a smart decision by not claiming gang affiliation in prison. Federal time is different from state time, and getting involved in gang politics behind bars can add years to your sentence. Maybe Pooh Shiesty was trying to do his time quietly and get out as soon as possible so he could get back to his music career. The street's been talking about how this situation exposes a bigger issue in hip-hop, the difference between being a street dude and being a rapper who talks about the streets. There's a lot of artists who grew up in rough neighborhoods and were involved in some street activity, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're gang members or that they're built for prison life. Real talk, prison is a whole different world. The rules are different, the consequences are more severe, and the people you're dealing with are hardened criminals who have nothing to lose. It's possible that Pooh Shiesty realized he was in over his head and made the decision to protect himself by staying out of gang politics, even if it meant taking some disrespect. But the problem is that Pooh Shiesty built his entire brand on being this fearless gangster. He rapped about robbing people, shooting at ops, and never backing down. His fans bought into that image and supported him because they believed he was authentic. So when allegations come out that he was getting punked in prison, it creates a credibility crisis. For y'all who haven't been keeping up, this isn't the first time a rapper's prison behavior has been questioned. We've seen situations where rappers who talk tough in their music ended up getting protective custody or checking in when they got locked up. The difference is that most of those situations didn't become public knowledge like this. The real question is, does this change how we should view Pooh Shiesty's music? Does it matter if he was moving different in prison than he portrayed in his songs? Some fans are saying they don't care about his prison politics. They just want good music. Others are saying they feel lied to and that they can't support an artist who isn't authentic. At the end of the day, Pooh Shiesty's situation isn't just about what happened in prison. It's about the consequences of building your entire image on being something that you might not be able to maintain in every situation. It's about the pressure that comes with being a street rapper and having to live up to that image 24/7, even when you're locked up and surrounded by real killers and gang members. The culture has always valued authenticity, but we also got to recognize that prison is designed to break people down. Maybe Pooh Shiesty made the smart choice by avoiding gang politics and trying to do his time peacefully. Or maybe he really did fold under pressure and showed that he's not as tough as his music suggests. The real question is, what happens when Pooh Shiesty gets out? Will his fans still support him knowing these allegations are out there? Will other rappers and street dudes respect him? Or will they see him as somebody who got exposed? And most importantly, will Pooh Shiesty address these claims and defend himself? Or will he stay quiet and hope people forget? One thing's for sure. This situation has sparked a major conversation about authenticity in hip-hop and the difference between being a rapper and being a gangster. Not everybody who grows up in the hood is built for prison life, and maybe that's okay. But if you're gonna rap about being this fearless street legend, you better be prepared for people to hold you to that standard. What are your thoughts on Pooh Shiesty's situation and his future in the rap game? Do you think these allegations hurt his credibility, or do you think he made the smart choice by staying out of prison politics? Share your thoughts in the comments and click on the video on screen for more content exposing what really goes down in the industry. Until next time, fam, stay real and stay safe.